Hi, Hannah.
Good
Lovely to
morning.
see you again.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. Now, I hear you run what they call a loop group. Now,
Yeah.
can you just tell us all what that involves?
Okay, it's a very sort of secret world to start with. There's only sort of a real small handful of us that do to do the sort of organizing of it. But basically, on a TV production or film, you would, in post-production, bring a group of actors together into a room to add sound and voice to the background characters within the piece, really. And what it does is it sort of fills the landscape of sound, helps to fill the landscape of sound. And it adds authenticity because on set, what happens is there'll be a group of essays in the background chatting. Um, but the most important thing for the director to be getting is the main actor's sound. So that's what's focused on. And then in
Right.
post-production, they suddenly go, ah, it doesn't sound like a hospital because nobody knows what they're saying. And we need to make it sound like a hospital. So my job is to bring these people in and then we improvise a lot of the time and we create that world. So we are the voices. I don't know if there's a Victorian street scene in there. The carts coming through, we might be the paper boy shouting the
Right.
market sellers, the man on the horse saying, giddy up, all of those sorts of things. Or we might be the people on the radio, like the news broadcasters or the TV that's playing in the background. Um, and it's a really unusual one because you don't notice it's there, but if it wasn't there, you
Yeah.
would notice. So
Right. So it sort of fills out the soundscape. And I imagine
yeah,
that involves quite a lot of research, doesn't it? If it's, say, a Dickens film,
yeah,
to get the right vocabulary, what they sell at the market, and all that sort of thing.
100%. So, in a day, you could be working on, say, Doctor Who in the morning and you're on an intergalactical spaceship, and then you're in Dickensian London in the afternoon. So it's really important for my actors to, one, be amazing improvisers, and two, do your research. So even if it's something like Doctor Who, where I don't know what they're going to say on an intergalactical spaceship. What
Yeah.
I did for that, for example, I just looked at so many videos online of like people talking about space travel and also chemistry
Right.
and things like that. Because actually, what you need is maybe a phrase or a word, and then if you're a good improviser, you can. Sorry, my light's just gone out. Then you can improvise around that. So instead of constantly saying the same line over and over again, you've got somewhere to go with that. And things like military speak,
Right.
police officers, there's no excuse now not for doing your research. In the world of AI, that research is so easy to do. So I always come armed with what they would actually be saying to a certain level
Yeah. Yeah.
because I did ask a friend of mine who is a policeman to tell me really what they say when they do an armed raid. And I was like, okay, well, the TV audience wouldn't understand that. We have to make it. We are still living in a TV world. Um, so it's great fun. And you normally have a group of anywhere between 4 to 20 people if the budget allows. Um, we're sort of the last bit, I would say, on the
Because
end of the production.
sometimes you'll take a character if the director isn't happy with the voice and like voice over him or
Yeah, so often they will either it'll be somebody that maybe has got one line, so it could be a bellboy, let's say, opening the door, and on the day it didn't sound right, or the essay that was doing it maybe was from Liverpool, and this show is set in Wales.
right.
So our job then would be to cast the right voice to dub it. So we have to then lip sync it. So we have to put the actor's voice within in the mouth, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. Make
And
it
so
believable.
yeah, make it believable. And so we have to do that with kids or adults. Sometimes there might be a longer sequence, which you'd then maybe have to cast a bit more in depth. But generally, it would be one or two lines. Anything really over that, they would either get the actor back in, or it would be done as a completely different revoice.
Because it's quite I've noticed when I'm watching it, it's a very good skill because one person can say something and then the others bounce off and
Yes.
keep going. Uh,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's an amazing skill to have.
the best people that do ADR are people that are really good at improvisation.
Yeah.
So, I've had some really, really famous, really recognizable actors in the room to do ADR, and they're not great at it.
Yeah.
And I've had someone that actually doesn't do much acting on stage or on TV, but is unbelievable at it
Mm.
because being able to improvise is a skill in its own right.
Yes.
And being able to take direction and leave your ego outside the room. I
Very
think
good advice.
sometimes actors walk into a room and I'm talking about myself as well. I used to be an actor. You think you know better, and actually you are there to serve a purpose. So if the director says, actually, I want that guy to be from Birmingham and this is what I want him to say, it's not really our job to go, well, I don't think he'd say that. I think he would say
Yeah.
this. Um,
Keep the director happy.
Keep the director happy. And it's, I've had a couple of new people in recently who are amazing at it. And the one thing that they've said is, as actors, you don't get this opportunity anymore. Like, I basically pay people to walk into a room and play for 4 hours at a time,
Right.
to improvise, to interact with each other, to be creative. And that is such a rare thing. And it's such a nice atmosphere in a room because you create a team. And for
Yeah.
that 4 hours, you're a team. So I'll often be like, right, can you and you come up and we'll do it. You're going to cover those two people on the park bench having a chat.
Right.
And you just have to go.
Yes.
Just say something. So I think in order to do that, you have to be somebody that's very open. You have to say yes. You have to just go with it. Nothing is wrong, and within that room, then you're very supportive. The other thing that is my biggest bugbear, and it amazes me that people can't do it because, as you might hear from my voice, I'm quite good at being loud,
Mm.
um, is people walk into a sound studio and they instantly go really quiet when they step up to the microphone. And I think we are currently in an age where we watch a lot of television where people are talking like this, and we think there's not a lot of acting going on in their
Mm.
face or behind the eyes. Well, in ADR, actually, we need you to speak at this sort of level so that then the mixers who do the magic
Yeah.
and the dialogue editors can bury it and work with it. And so if somebody says, be louder, they're not lying, like just be
Yeah.
louder. Um, because a lot of people really struggle with that
And it's
because,
especially if you're exterior, isn't it? Like in the street,
yep,
when you're back in the studio, you don't say it as loud as you would have done in the street.
yeah, yeah. And the best way to figure out what ADR sounds like is next time you go into like a cafe or a pub or a restaurant, if you just close your eyes and listen, and there's all little bits of conversations, you're not hearing the entire conversation. The conversation is normally quite normal.
Yeah.
It's not about, oh my God, I went and I did this and it was amazing. It's
Yeah.
more, oh,
And
I forgot to pick her up from school the other day, and then I got told off by the teacher. But anyway, my friend's coming on Tuesday, which should be fun.
yeah.
And in fact, my oven was meant to be delivered on Tuesday, but it's not going to be delivered on Tuesday. And you just go off,
Yeah. And it can
you
add
know.
texture, can't it? Because I like it sometimes if somebody's walking past shops and you just hear
Yeah,
little snippets of conversation, it just makes it more realistic.
yeah, 100%. And that's what I mean. Like ADR is there. You shouldn't notice ADR.
Yeah.
Like good ADR, you won't notice. But if it's not there, the scene will often feel really flat and really unrealistic. And yeah, it just adds. And
Okay.
also because often things, for example, we worked on a show called Gangs of London. So they wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, there was a Georgian gang. Well, the main actor wasn't necessarily Georgian, but we needed to make his team of people Georgian. So we have to add that after the effect if they
Right.
haven't been cast in the role. So often you'll be adding in lots of different languages, which is really exciting. Um, and those are the ones that are really difficult to cast, but the most fun and the most interesting because you get to meet so many different people and you learn so much about different cultures
Sure.
uh, just in the way people speak. I remember we did one that was set in a South American prison, and so we got these fantastic Spanish speakers in, and I was really worried, how do we keep we need them to sound quite passionate and energetic. Well, I needn't have worried just the way they were able to speak in their natural speaking pattern was very passionate and very alive. And
Brilliant.
so it just sounded
Fantastic.
amazing. And the difference with that, they shot that in Spain. So they had Spanish essays, but they didn't sound South American.
Okay. Right.
So, for example, that's a really good reason why then they needed to bring that in.
Right.
So, yeah.
And Hannah,
Yeah.
what advice would you give the young people who are interested in this whole field?
Um, improvise, improvise, improvise. The other thing that I think is the most important thing I look for, people do voice reels, which are great. You know, I have a voice act agent as well, so I've got a voice reel. But the best thing, the thing I want to hear is what you sound like. Um, I don't really want to hear your voiceover voice. I want to hear your everyday normal voice.
Right.
And my biggest piece of advice for anyone doing that, or making a voice reel, would be to add in there, 30 seconds of you just speaking in your normal voice. The other piece of advice I'd really give is don't lie. Don't lie on your CV. So if you say you are highly skilled at Scottish,
Yeah.
make sure you could improvise for 4 hours in Scottish.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
have that the same with languages. People will say, I can speak German. And you're like, fantastic, I'm booking you. And then can I have a script? And you're like, no, oh, I can only do it if I can prepare. And it's like, so just be honest. I'd rather, because also that makes the actor then feel uncomfortable, which then means that the room is uncomfortable. Everywhere, no one wins in that situation.
Yeah.
So just be open and honest and be yourself. And if you get cast in one, just watch the people at work. Like I've got a rule, like it's a new thing you're learning. It's quite difficult to get experience in this until you're actually doing a job. So everyone has had that first day, but watch the people in that room that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If they stand up and they're speaking at this level, you need to speak at exactly the same level as them. Because
Right.
so learn, like don't be frightened to learn. Don't be frightened to ask questions because you all started, I remember my first day and it was really uncomfortable because you just didn't know what you were doing. And ask the other people. Generally, people are really kind and
Yeah.
they will help you. And turn up on time as well.
It's very essential.
Turn up on time. And if you're gonna be late, just call. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. But
All
yeah,
right.
it's great fun.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much. This has been brilliant, and I'm sure they're going to love it.
Ah, not at
And I
all.
look forward to working with you again.
Yes, and you take care.